Great. So my name's Katie Cole. I'm a teacher at Medway High School, and I teach media studies. I'm also in the English department and phys ed department there. But my specialty really is media studies, and I'm very interested in all that technology can offer us, whether it's good or bad. I tend to like to focus on all the good things in technology, so that's kind of what I'm going to try and do in this presentation, is talk about all the good apps that are out there. I will, though, talk a little bit about safety, and at the very end, address a few of the apps that we really should be avoiding. I don't want to overlap what some of the other presentations are about, because I think there's some on social networking and some other parent ones that are about how to be safe online. So I won't go into as much detail, but if you check out, like I said, my slide share, there should be lots of information there for you. So just in general, apps are called applications, which are really kind of like mini versions of software. And if you're older, like some of us, like Joel was saying, we are the immigrants, and you remember putting software onto your computers using CDs, and you'd load it, and the program would cost, hundreds of dollars. Well, now they cost $1, and they're really small, and you can put them on your mobile devices, you can put them on your tablets and on your computer, and these ones allow you to connect to the internet as well. And with these applications, we buy them in a marketplace now rather than having to install them. So marketplaces, it's kind of like stores. The ones that we might be familiar with are like iTunes and Google Play, Amazon, BlackBerry World. That's where we purchase our apps. And because they're so cheap, they've almost become collectible for us. I know my husband makes fun of my phone because I have tons and tons of apps, and then I have to put them into folders to make it look smaller. And so, yeah, we have tons of apps, and that's the problem I find, is it's hard to sift through what's good and useful. And so that's what I've tried to do for you today, is I've gathered many of my resources, I've quizzed all my students, teacher friends, etc., parent friends, and tried to make a nice condensed list for you based on kind of age groupings. So what we're going to do is take a look at, this idea of, should we eliminate some things, or are these apps engaging our kids? Are these the apps that they should be getting rid of, or are they useful for us? And it might be surprising just to take note. I know Joel already talked about a few of these statistics, but more than half of children ages 8 and younger have access to mobile devices, and that 9 out of 10 parents with children under 2 years old report that their kids use some form of electronic media. So yeah, a lot of the apps that are out there are designed for not just our teenagers, but our children, and even toddlers and preschoolers. And 72% of those are educational apps, which is really great. And research has shown that some of those, like storytelling apps, my daughter really likes the monster at the end of this book. It actually teaches kids to retain information. So when she goes through the storybook online, when she's in the app and she's flipping through the pages, once it's read to her, or I read it to her, she can click on the different monsters and animate them and make sounds and move things around. And she remembers the story better, and she's actually interacting and participating with it. And it's a really great, engaging experience for her. And of course, the American Academy of Pediatrics says that no child under the age of 2 should be exposed to screens. So I should be locked up for sure. Because as even a baby, I think my child was looking at a screen, not for extended periods of time. And yes, she was being engaged in many other aspects of life. So the whole idea is really about balance and not having devices that are going to become more like babysitting tools, kind of like these ones. So the idea is that we do need to supervise, though. So I'll show you this little video as an example of why we need to supervise.
Peter, come take a look at this.
Mr. Daniels.
Mr. Daniels.
Look at this. What's this?
The numbers, they keep getting bigger and bigger.
The clicks are off the charts.
Yeah.
Yoshi, it's Walter. We're back.
Yes, sir!
I need more trees. More trees? I'll get you more trees.
Hey, take a look at wood pulp.
Whoa. Everything you got on wood pulp right now.
He really loves that thing.
So we have to watch what they're doing online. Otherwise, there could be financial consequences as well as other consequences for sure. Actually, in February, Apple paid out about $100 million in compensation for a class action suit against all these in-app purchases and things. So it's important to be careful. So I'm going to talk about two of our more prevalent stores. It's always the Apple versus Android debate. My husband, though, is still BlackBerry. He loves his BlackBerry, so I won't talk too much about that. But there are other things like Kindles and Kobos and Windows and such. But I'm going to mostly focus on, if I can, the Apple versus Android. So when you have your Apple device, you have your iPod, your iPad, your iPhone, you have to be aware that there can be in-app purchases. And so what I did with the slideshow that you can have access to on SlideShare is I gave you some links and a step-by-step instruction on how to deactivate in-app purchases on your phone if you don't already know how to do that. Because there's nothing worse than purchasing an app for $5 and then realizing that you have to buy more apps within that app to actually get what you want. And of course, if you have children playing with your phones or with those apps and they're making those purchases without your knowledge, your bill can get pretty high. So it's important for you to go into your settings. For Apple, you go into your general area and then go to restrictions. And what you can do there is actually turn off the in-app purchases or set it up so that there has to be a password, a PIN, or if you've got the newer phone, the thumbprint to be able to actually purchase an app. And then on Android, you've kind of got the same thing that you have to do on Android is you go into Google Play, the store there, and then you go into settings and then ask that it require a password or a PIN again for purchases. So that's what you would do on the Android store. So we do have to be aware though, if you see these appealing free apps, what does free really mean? What might you be getting additionally in those free apps? The problem is that you don't pay up front, but you're going to pay somewhere along the line, either through advertising, there are going to be pop-ups and other things appearing, or there's going to be back-end data collection. So every time you're interacting with the app, it may be collecting information in the background without your knowledge. So it's really important that you take a look inside the app itself, in the settings in the app, to see what they can have access to. And again, I've got more information about that in the SlideShare. When you go to add an app, here's kind of a screen that you might get if you're, let's say it's in Windows and you're adding an app on Windows. You might get something that looks like this, and it will tell you, hey, this is what you're agreeing to when you add an app. So if you're going to add Facebook, I'll pick on Facebook here. If you're going to add Facebook as an app now, this is what you've allowed them to have access to. Right? All of your name, profile information, a list of your friends, their contact information, all of your contact information. You've agreed to share all of that stuff. And kids, and I'm notorious for this too, if I want that app, I'm just going to click allow, and I probably haven't read any of this stuff either. So it's important to kind of teach them, yeah, we have to look at what are the conditions and is it worth it to actually add this app. The other thing to worry about a little bit is maybe social plugins. So if you're lazy like me and you want to go onto a website or you want to have an app like StumbleUpon, I don't know if anybody uses StumbleUpon. It's kind of like a high interest website where you can, and an app where you can go on and you can select, I'm interested in education and humor and gardening. And then you can just click a StumbleUpon button and it'll show you article after article or picture after picture that has to do with your interests. And instead of setting up an entire account, what you can do is you can be like, I'm just going to sign in with Facebook, right? So you just put in your Facebook information. That's called a social plugin. And when I do that, unfortunately, let's say I like humor and I see an inappropriate kind of cartoon and I think it's funny and maybe I write a comment about it or I like it. That ends up on my Facebook feed so everyone can see that as a teacher, I've liked something that might be highly inappropriate as a cartoon from StumbleUpon. So it's really important to see how your apps are interacting as well. All right. Last thing to freak you out about, hopefully, is when you add apps that it will sometimes sync contacts. So we're picking on Facebook again. When you add Facebook, initially it used to automatically sync your contacts. It doesn't do that anymore, but some apps might do that. It might ask you to have access to your contacts in your phone. So what would happen is all of your friends' names and family members' names and their phone numbers, their email addresses, at anything would then sync up and be in Facebook. So what I've done again is I've given you instructions on how to deactivate that in Facebook. And the other great site that I go to is just WikiHow. Just go to WikiHow and then type in unsync contacts. And it'll have little instructional videos on how to unsync those things. Because it would drive me nuts knowing that my friends didn't go that extra effort to take my phone number off of their page. All right. And again, just continuing on with Facebook, they said, they came up with this statement, no, we do not own your photos, regardless of what people are saying. But if you actually read the user agreement, this is how they kind of get around it. This is the loophole. It says we don't own your photos, but we can use them in any way we kind of like. So if you want to be if they need somebody for the next face of hemorrhoids, then your face could be running down the one side with that advertisement without your knowledge. Or really, you've indirectly said that you could let them have access to your photos. So again, in my notes section, I give you kind of a little step-by-step instruction on how to go into Facebook ads and remove that approval. All right. Oh, I lied. I'm going to scare you just about one last thing. Location services. I think a lot of us know about location services already, but they're not always a bad thing. I mean, I have terrible sense of direction, so I need my location services on for a variety of different apps, like my MapQuest and things like that. And our students and children, our teens, I guess, are using ones called Find My Friends. So, if they're in the mall or somewhere, they can actually find where they all are. And it can have a positive impact, but negatives, I mean, overall it's broadcasting your location to your friends, but also probably to strangers too. And advertisers can target you. Actually, Starbucks does that. So if you check in at Starbucks, it'll send you a little alert saying, hey, here's a coupon for whatever our drink special is for the day. Which, I mean, I don't really mind. Especially, you can tell I like caffeine, but. And the last thing is in settings then, it's a good idea to turn off geotagging, because whenever you take a photo, if you're using your camera on your phone, it stores longitude and latitude information within that photo. So then if you're posting that photo somewhere, anybody with any kind of good hacker sense can actually find your location or where most of your photos are being taken. And then they can start to narrow down your location, might be where you live or where you go to school, because all your pictures are taken in one area. Okay, so moving on to some of the fun stuff. Phew, good. I'm going to take you through what some of my favorites are, my friends' favorites, things that have been, from awards lists, expert reviews, educator reviews. And I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because, again, I've put all the details about each one of these apps on my SlideShare for you. So, I mean, I'm about to have baby number 2 here. Not imminently, don't worry. But I mean, my daughter loves musical types of apps. And so this one's really great for iPad. It's Baby's Musical Hands. And it's a multi-touch option. So she can put both hands on the screen, and each little square lights up and has a different color and plays a different sound. And it can play drums or guitar depending upon which box they click on. And it makes pretty melodies and things like that too. And it's just a really cute app for babies. And then there's the Baby Soother, which has all of these like white noise, twinkle, twinkle, running stream, ocean wave sounds. Instead of buying those expensive devices, I went to go look for a white noise machine, and they're like $35 or $40 just to buy the machine, where you could just get this app for free. This other app here, this Fisher-Price has a whole bunch of really great ones, but this one's called it's kind of like it's a black and white high contrast app, And babies are, love black and white. It's kind of like mobiles are black and white too. And this saved me at a 2-hour doctor wait. We were waiting for the doctor for 2 hours. Saved me in the last 15 minutes. I just showed her this, and it was really captivating. It's got cute little animals that move across the screen very slowly in black and white with nice soothing music. And so if you're desperate, I would suggest that one. It's a good one for babies. And of course, Fisher-Price has come out with all these cute little toys, so you can actually put your iPhone in these devices so they can't click on the button or navigate away from the screen, which is neat. Again, we're talking about moderation here. This isn't a babysitter, but it is a nice little thing. If you download the little animals app down here with the lion and the cow, when it comes up on the screen and they shake it, the cows make noises and things, and the animals move around on the screen, which is really cute. I will say, though, that they came out with a, the activity, it's like a little gym. They lie on their back and the thing goes over them and they look at it. They have ones where they've actually put a place where you can put the iPhone, and they have little potties now that the iPad can attach to the potty. They've got teddy bears and monkeys where you can put the iPad or iPhone right into the stuffed animals. And I love the campaign for a commercial-free childhood nominated those the worst toys. I think it was of 2012, because it was just sort of encouraging the devices to become babysitters. And they were spending longer periods of time with the devices. So again, moderation is key. Sago Mini has a ton of really awesome little games and apps for kids. This one's huge in Parenting Magazine. Every issue of Parenting Magazine has a new Sago Mini app. And my little daughter, she's 2.5 right now, she loves Soundbox, and you can click on the screen. Again, it plays musical sounds. If you move the screen around, it continues to make different sounds. And if you hold your finger on it, it cracks open like an egg, and little animals come out. And it's really quite engaging. It's very cute. I won't go through all of these, but right now, if your kid likes puzzles, there are lots of online puzzles that you can do. And she really likes Disney right now, of course. And don't worry, we haven't done Frozen yet. I refuse. I refuse to do Frozen yet. But she loves Minnie Mouse, and so this little puzzle here, you can drag the pieces. There's an easy, medium, and hard version. So she just does the easy one where she pulls the pieces and then they snap together. And then when you complete that, it plays a cute little video for them. So it's really good for hand-eye coordination and problem solving, and she really likes that one. I haven't had to tackle potty time yet, but some of my girlfriends swear by this because they have trouble keeping their kids on the potty for the necessary period of time for something to actually happen. So this can keep them in place for a little bit while longer. I've seen the toothbrush ones as well, where you brush your teeth and you can play the little video that goes with it. Haven't tried those yet, so I can't speak to those. But busy shapes, again, is kind of identifying shapes and slotting them into the correct holes, and then there's some maze features and some other cute things with it as well. And then moving on, a little bit higher level, here's My Play Home, which is basically just like, it's a virtual dollhouse, which is really cute. You can make your family, and your family has a variety of different ethnicities, and you can compose it however you like. Fish School is great for numeracy and literacy. This one's like on all the awards lists. So Fish School is really great. And Little Digits helps them develop counting skills. It's just very much like when they count with their fingers, it helps them do the same thing through the app. And Daniel Tiger's Gurific Feelings is helping them identify their emotions so they can start to identify, what does love look like? What does jealousy look like? And that sort of thing, which is neat. And then if you've ever watched In the Night Garden, the TV show, it's very strange. It's very weird. You have to be in a different mind space as a parent to watch the show. But the app is really neat, and it just enhances imagination and creativity, just like Joel was talking about. Some of my favorite drawing apps are Lazoo Squiggles, where you can actually draw, and then your drawings and doodles are animated after when you're done. And Draw and Tell is another one where you can add in stickers. It's got patterns and the coloring books and everything. It's a great little drawing tool. And then this one, don't you go on it, because you'll be addicted to it too. So preschoolers all the way up to adults. If you've ever been on it, it's Faces I Make. It basically gives you a whole bunch of materials like buttons and fruit and whatever, you name it, and you drag them in to create faces. And you'll see people all over the web sharing their faces, and it's a huge online community. I would omit the sharing part with this with your kids, but it's really neat. You can make cute little faces, and I would go on and watch the little video on it and see what people have come up with. It's really great for creativity and art, developing art skills. So for preschoolers, we have some other ones like Star Walk. There's an advanced one for adults as well, or for teenagers. But basically you just take virtual tour of the stars, and you can hold up your iPad to the sky and look at the stars. It tells you little stories about them. Then we have Peg and Cat, which is actually a TV show, and it teaches math, practice, and problem solving. And then Bugs and Buttons is cute because I hate bugs in general, so this is a great way for my daughter to play with bugs without me having to actually touch any or be around any. And what they can do is they can take the little bugs and walk them through mazes, and they have bugs that spell out letters and everything. It's quite cute. And then Super Y is based on a TV series, but it helps kids practice the alphabet, rhyming and spelling and reading and such. Now, Barefoot Me books, I'm a total sucker for celebrity narrators. So that's the only reason I have this one up here. It's because all these children books are narrated by these, famous voices, which I enjoy, and it's also free. Of course, usually you can get a few books free, and then you have to buy the extras on top of that. But also, this series is very popular with little ones, the Boynton series, but not the hippopotamus. And you can buy like a collection of the books through the app for $4. My daughter likes, again, the Disney Storytime. Again, you have to be careful because you buy the app, you get 3 free stories, and then it teases you along the top. It has all these other cool Disney characters, and they want, to read the stories for all of those. There's like 30 of them. But of course, each additional book will cost you after that. Now, I can't say enough good things about this one. If your child loves books and you don't want to be spending a ton of money at Chapters all the time on tons of kids' books, sign up for Epic. It's $5 a month, and you can get thousands and thousands of book titles. It's really good for probably maybe up to age like 13 or so. But you can get things like C.S. Lewis, like classic kids books, or even like younger ones like the Scaredy Squirrel series or Robert Munch. And it's just really, it's a good ebook subscription service. Now for children and teens, we've got a few of these ones that are really neat, like DIY is perfect for the kid. They're not ready for Pinterest yet, but they can share their all their crafts, and then they can learn from other kids who have posted and try their crafts as well. WordFlex dictionary is really neat. You get a word, and then it branches it off into a whole bunch of webs. This is the verb version, this is the noun version, and then it goes off into synonyms and definitions. And when you click on one, the web expands. It's really great. I have it in there for children and tweens, but even my high school students would use that one. And then Britannica has a whole bunch of specialized series, like you can learn ones about rainforests or dinosaurs or volcanoes. And if there are any language teachers out there, Duolingo, it's a web-based one, but you can also buy the app. And it teaches them some basics in tests in your hearing, your memory, and your speaking skills in a whole bunch of different languages, which is really neat. And for those math teachers, you probably already know, but Dragon Box Algebra is a good one, and it has a younger version of 5+. I've shown you the 12+ one here. For music teachers, you might like Piano Mania. You can actually take the iPad, you can put it on your piano, and it will listen to you playing, and it provides sheet music and a whole bunch of other really awesome features. And this Monster Physics is for your budding physicist. Brain Pop is pretty expensive, I would have to say. I know $8 it's over my budget, but you can actually subscribe to the service, and you can get your whole school to subscribe to the service. And then your kids can be given passwords, and you can all go on and watch little videos about history and science and that sort of thing. Minecraft is huge right now with kids, and I don't know if you know, a lot of you know Minecraft. You can play 2 different versions, ones where like monsters can attack you at night, or ones where you're just kind of developing your own virtual world using blocks. It's kind of like Lego online almost, but it's really amazing. There is an online community, and I would say avoid that if you've got younger ones. And a lot of students are asked to create little videos for school. My two favorites are VidLab and iMovie. Those are pretty great ones, but again, you can post to Instagram with the VidLab, which a lot of kids are on, and you might want to restrict that. These are sort of the top things that teens are using, Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Snapchat. I don't want to get too much into that because I know there's some other workshops based on those, but here are some really great ones for teens. You've probably seen the DK series of books. They also have apps. So if you want to learn all about the human body, and I know some of our exercise science teachers really like this app because it shows all the muscle groups and even like it dissects the brain and parts of the body. It's really awesome. No Fear Shakespeare, I'm the English teacher here, so I have to mention this one. It's awesome. It does a side-by-side analysis. So it's got the original Shakespearean text, and then on the other side of the screen, it has more modern translations with definitions for some of the harder words. You get the first one for free, so when you add the app, maybe you're doing Romeo and Juliet this year, you add Romeo and Juliet, and then if you have to do Hamlet the next year, you might have to purchase that one. But some of my students who really struggle with doing Shakespeare, with understanding Shakespeare, this saves them. So I'm okay with them using that. Rec This app is based on the journals. They're called Rec This Journal. And they have creative writing prompts for the journals. And for the online version, it's the same thing. And kids are quite obsessed with this series. And people at chapters say it's very difficult for them to actually keep the books on the shelves because they're so popular. So you can get the app version instead. And I mean, we talked about the Epic online, the ebooks that you can get. For older kids, you've got audiobooks or iBook. And there are tons of free online classics there for them. And the music teacher might like GarageBand. This is it's like a powerful digital music workstation where you can mix your own music and record your own music.
It's great to do
Yeah.
to do it with iMovie too.
Yeah, and they interact together. Yeah, I love when that happens. I mean, TED Talks, if you haven't watched Joel's is really good. He does a really great TED Talk too. But TED Talks are great in the classroom, and there's an app for it. And you can actually take TED courses. So if you go onto iTunes, you can actually there'll be like 6 or 7 lessons or talks that fall under one TED category, which is really neat. It's kind of limited right now. They only have about 17 or 18 courses that you can take, but they're expanding as they go. I won't talk too much about these ones, but you can kind of see there's ones for science and muscle groups. You can program your own workouts for the iMuscle app. A lot of our ComTech kids have to do stop motion videos, so this is a really great app for them. Poplet is a really good organizing app, and it's kind of like a brainstorming, mind mapping app that a lot of students are using. And I know there are tons of apps out there for collaging pictures. This is my favorite right now, is Pic Collage, because you can actually kind of cut around pictures, add in stickers, and it's more creative rather than just having, okay, you can put 5 pictures in these squares and that's the amount of space you're allowed, and you can put on some text. This is much more creative, and kids like this one. So Pic Collage is pretty cool. If you want a simpler version of making a little kind of slideshow or video, Animoto is really great for your high schoolers. Mindshift is new, and I haven't tried this out, but some of my colleagues who are involved with our mental health committee said that this is wonderful. It's an app designed to help teens and young adults cope with anxiety. It's a really neat one, Mindshift. And Evernote, I find this a little bit more mature, a little bit more difficult to do, but this is for note-taking. And somebody else, I think, is going to be covering Google Docs, right? So I won't talk too much about that. Okay, for parents, I would suggest iEmergency, so making sure that on your phones you have all of your emergency information. This stores all of this type of thing for you, your doctor's names, medical conditions, that sort of thing. I have this on my phone right now in case I was ever in an accident. On my home screen, They just have to click the button. It has all my emergency contact information. It lets them know how many months along I am, that I'm pregnant and everything. So it's a good one. This is your alternative for YouTube with your kids. It's Kidios. I mean, you can never get enough videos of cute animals doing cute things. Shazam is so you can listen in on their music. You just touch the app, hold it up, it listens, and it tells you what the artist is and the song, and it will give you some of the links to lyrics, so you can hear what the actual lyrics are. And then you'll have to go to Urban Dictionary, this app, to get definitions for those words. I like Songza because it kind of has, it's like a music concierge for you. And what you do is you put in, okay, I want music that's upbeat for kids under this age, and it will generate for you lists of song and playlists for you, which are safe. I'm going to skip Kinder Music. I don't like that one. Then these are sort of GPS devices that you can use. I have used the Tile. It's about this big, and you can attach it to anything. And then using your phone, you can find where it is. I think there's a balance when you're using some of these devices, whether or not you're becoming like super sleuth detective parent, and whether or not you're using it in an appropriate fashion. Is it for snooping or is it for safety? So you can use these at your own discretion. And my favorite app of all time and website is Common Sense Media. And what they do is they review many of these apps for you, indicate, is it good for learning, how many stars they give it, what age is appropriate. And like I said, I'm not going to go through too many of these because there's a whole other session on this. But some of these are ones that you need to approach with caution because of the communities that are involved with them, because some of them are anonymous, like Street Chat is anonymous, and it also has a location feature built in. And the ones that people are really concerned about right now is Yik Yak. That's the newest one that schools are banning because it's anonymous messaging and posting based on your location. So you know that if you're on that app and somebody else is on that app, they post something anonymously, you know it's within a specific radius. So a lot of those are being banned by schools right now. So these are kind of the ones that you need to look out for. And on my notes in the slide share, I've given a description of each one of these for you and kind of why it's on the hit list or danger list. Doesn't mean that they're bad, it's just how some kids are using it is inappropriate. So these are some more of the anonymous ones like Whisper and Yik Yak. I mean, look at Omegle. Their tagline is, talk to strangers. Like, isn't that the first rule we teach them? To not talk to strangers. Oh. And then what I did is I gave you a whole list of websites that you can go to. These are, where you find the critically acclaimed, the award-winning ones, and the best of lists. So if you, a year from now when I'm at home with the baby and I'm totally out of touch, you guys will know where to go. And then, like I said, all of my information is there for you on this slide. I'm just going to leave you with one last little video here.
Emma. Huh? Emma. 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 Emma.
All right, and that's it for our little workshop today, hopefully. It's good. Thanks. I think you get to